Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Barner here, Overtime Athletes. And for today's video, what I want to go over is how do we assess and then program to be able to develop an elite vertical jump. So I want to simplify this down to the 3 key metrics that you should be focusing on and where to place your training to be able to develop an elite vertical jump. So when it comes to developing athletes in here, there's essentially 3 main things, and this is how we kind of tilt our programming with an athlete if we were wanting to develop vertical force that transfers over to the field or court. So the first one is going to be an athlete's trap bar deadlift, right? And this is gonna represent the athlete's absolute strength. How much total resistance can they overcome when it comes to the lower body? The reason why I love this movement is it closely mimics exactly how they're gonna perform the vertical jump, right? It's a powerful hip extension movement. It's easy for us to teach from a youth all the way up to the professional levels. The other reason being is because I can really load it up, really develop absolute strength. I can essentially go low handle and increase the range of motion that they have to go through. And then as we progress through an off season, I can go off blocks and mimic closely that more 45-degree angle, which athletes typically do when they're in the down phase of the actual vertical jump. So there's a myriad of reasons why I love it, right? But this is a key indicator for us, and it's typically the first one that we look at, right? So as we gather these metrics, the number one thing that I typically see is there's a standard around the trap bar deadlift. So we tell athletes if they can reach about a 2.2 times body weight, and I've said this before in another video, but let's say you're a 200-pound athlete and you could trap bar deadlift 440 pounds, 2.2 times your body weight, you meet a sufficient amount of absolute strength to achieve a vertical jump. And I guess you could say the elite standard would be like a 40-inch vertical, whether that be on sticks or a jump mat or something of that nature. But the biggest thing, one of the biggest things I look out for their absolute strength is going to be utilizing the trap bar deadlift. Now, the next key metric that we're gonna look at is gonna be their actual vertical jump, right? So we might do this in a manner off of a jump mat, off force plates, or we might even use sticks that you see at the combine. It's essentially the athlete's pure vertical force. And this is gonna be a combination of, like I said, that force and that strength that they have from the trap bar deadlift. The last one is going to be RSI. And RSI stands for Reactive Strength Index, right? So if you think about the vertical jump, this is going to be more of a slower stretch shortening cycle. You have a deeper knee bend. The athlete generates more force, right, through the eccentric phase, the down phase of the jump. They spend a little bit more time, right, through that eccentric phase, where RSI is more fast stretch shortening cycle. And what you have to think of this is almost a measure of our tendon or our elastic energy, right? So it's our tendon strength and stiffness. So the way that I like to essentially be able to tell athletes the difference between the two is if you're a basketball fan, right? If you look and you watch some of these athletes jump, you think about a Zion, right, versus a Ja Morant, right? So Zion, he takes a big, deep knee bend. He really generates a lot of force, right? He bends through the knees and hips, gets down, spends a lot of time, absorbs a lot of force, and then gets up with a big, powerful jump. Whereas you look at Ja, it looks like he effortlessly is bouncing, right? And he doesn't have a deep knee bend, deep hip bend. He's using and relying more on that elastic. So we want to kind of see between these 3, right? I'm sorry, RSI, just let me say this real quick. RSI is your jump height divided by your ground contact time. So that shows us how fast and how much force you can produce in a faster manner, right? So we really want to be able to see, and again, that really tests your tendon stiffness. It allows us to be able to see if the athlete can get off the ground rapidly, using that example of the Ja versus Zion that I just used. The way that we test this, it's a little bit tougher for athletes. We test it here on our force plates. You can also do this on one of those jump mats. There's other methods if you look online. One of the things that we've used that's imperfect, it's not always going to be in a good way, it's not always going to be valid results. or reliable, I should say, is we use a triple broad jump. What that does is we measure the length of those 3 jumps, and the athlete has to continuously perform those jumps. So even if it's not a standard that we have across the board, we can see if an athlete improves that because they have to perform those continuous 3 jumps. So again, it's an imperfect way for us to measure it, but if an athlete doesn't have force plates or jump mat, it's just one of those things that we can use to be able to see if we're improving their RSI or their quick reactive elastic energy type jumps, if you will. So again, after you get these 3 numbers, all of these are essentially working in tandem. So this could even go this way. So as you're developing, make sure you meet the standard on the trap bar deadlift first. And then when it comes to vertical jump, especially if I'm trying to develop an athlete, I might focus 2 separate days on this. This is gonna be more box jumps, right? This is gonna be more of our seated box jumps, our more max effort type jumps, high hurdle jumps, where this is gonna be our multi-hurdle jumps. This is gonna be our pogos. This is gonna be our mini hurdles. This is gonna be our multi-hurdle series. This is gonna be our depth drop jumps, right? Stepping off and being able to produce in a more reactive fashion. And so we wanna be able to place 2 different training sessions on both of those. So there you have it, guys. I know it's a little bit long-winded, but focus on these 3 things and being able to elevate these 3 things, and you will achieve an elite vertical jump as long as you have those in your programming. Meet the standard for strength, and then start focusing on your RSI and vertical jump. Hope that helps. If you're looking for a complete vertical jump program that includes all these things, go ahead and check out the link down below. Elite Vertical Academy is one of our all-time best sellers, and I'll talk to you guys next time.